there are a lot of people out there who don't know how to be friends. And the way that I know this is because you tell your child, hey, I'm not one of your little friends. Hi, my name is Dr. Natalie Jones. I'm a licensed therapist. I've been counseling women and men who have experienced abuse as well as those who are perpetrators of abuse and other violent crimes. And, I was having this conversation with my hairstylist this morning, and my hair is kind of big right now. But anyhow, and, and so this post that I'm going to do is inspired by the conversation that he and I were having this morning. And one of the things that I've noticed, especially Black parents, that I've worked with over the years, and people, friends, colleagues, and other peers that I've heard say this to their children, hey, I'm not one of your little friends. And it's meant to, when parents say that, it's meant to get their child into subordination and to look at them as a person that they should respect and fear, but never get too comfortable with. And I challenge people to reconsider that whole notion because, I don't agree with it. In my personal and professional opinion, I think you should be your child's friend. I think you should be your child's first friend and their best example of how, friendship, respect, and even parenting can look. And there's a balance between the two. And I don't, because some people look at it like, oh, those people are too invested with having their child be their friend. And they say this about, passive parenting, people that are very laissez-faire in their approach and they let their child sort of do whatever they want to do. Their child could run the house, versus, I'm a bit more arbitrary. I'm a bit more firm in my approach and I'm running the house. I'm the dominant and I'm the parent and I'm in charge. And so I do think that there is a balance between that, between those two styles. But I also think that, like, as a parent, you need to be your child's first friend. See, a lot of parents unfortunately become and it's not necessarily purposefully, and it doesn't, they become their child's first bully. They become their child's first antagonist. Their child becomes afraid of them. Their child withholds things from them because their parents are either gonna tell other people about it, throw it back in their face when they get into an argument, or use it later on as ammunition to tear them down, or they're gonna, they're gonna spread the news like the Hollywood Gazette, that kind of stuff. And so, but when you are your child's first, when you are a friend to your child, you talk to your child, you are able to respond and reciprocate your child's emotions. You are able to hold things that your child tells you in confidence. You're able to respect that relationship. So a child looks to you as a first role model for how they should show up in friendships and what type of relationships they should have, with friends, with peers and things of that nature. And many women don't know how to do this. And many women don't have a good relationship with their mother, because guess the first place where it shows up, when you have a constant pool of women that are betraying you, that are gossiping and that are talking about you, that are, telling people you ain't shit, you ain't nothing, you this, you that. Guess who else does that? Most of the time, 99.999% of the time, your mother or your father is doing this to you first. And so women and men can do this as well. You pick people based off of what's been normalized in your life. So if you have a mother that is a bully, A lot of times you may marry a woman that's a bully, or you may have women friends that are bullies, so you are going to repeat what you don't repair. Always remember that. You repeat what you don't repair. And, and a lot of times in families that can be toxic, and that don't know how to love, or that become very anxiety prone by someone who is a free thinker or an autonomous human being. In a lot of those families, they will encourage compliance, obedience, before they allow independence and autonomy. It can come up in a number of ways. Like, I feel like that's why a lot of parents are afraid of their child's sexual orientation, sexuality, and other things like that, or they become very they try to change it and shock you back into what's considered the norm. Your child does something bad, your child can't come home and talk to you about it. They're so afraid that they're going to be disowned, or they're going to get some sort of severe physical discipline. Your child, you do not need. Children have enough to face out in the world, is what I'm trying to say. They have enough adversity to face out in the world. It doesn't matter if you're white, black, Hispanic, Asian, whatever the case may be. They have enough of that. They're gonna get you don't have to be your child's first bully. The world is going to show them that. When they get out on their own in one form of or another, a child is going to face adversity. It's not going to be the same for everybody, but at the very least, your home and just you as a parent should be the safest place for your child, always and forever. It doesn't matter how old they get, how many children they have, what they go out in the world and accomplish. A child's always going to need their mother. A child's always going to need their father. Always. And so it helps. And as children age, when you're a baby, you need your parent in one way. When you're a toddler, you need your parent in this way. When you're 5, you need your parent that way. When you're 12, you're an adolescent, you need your parent in certain ways. So the relationship, the dynamics, and based on the stages of development a child is going to be at, it's going to they're going to need their parent differently, but they're always going to need your respect. They're always going to need your love. They're always going to need your confidence. All of those things. So your child is always going to need you both as a parent and as a friend. I can't tell you how many people, children and adults alike, I've worked with over the years that have gotten themselves into some sticky situations, and they've sat with it and stayed in it way past the expiration date because they don't want to disappoint their parents. They don't want their parents to judge them, to think negatively of them. They don't want their parents to ostracize them in front of everybody else. So, I can't tell you what to do. I can't tell you how to raise your children, but what I can say is your children do need a friend. You need to be their first friend, not their enemy. People have enough of those when they go out into the real world. You always need to be a safe place, but you also need to remember your children. Whether you're good or bad, your children are always going to look at you as their first role model of how to show up in relationships. Hope that helps. Thank you so much.